All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. In the last video, we actually finished our second version here of the ASP.NET Entity Framework Core payroll application. There it is. Okay. And what I'd like to do now, I wasn't going to do this, but I have decided to, and that is to create a third version. That's the one I'm going to put out onto the internet. But I do want to show you that, again, that the current version does work. I explained all the changes I made in the last video. But now if you look, I'm just going to show you what's out there right now. So if we go to hourly, there's everybody who's in there. We can cut this down there so you can see everything. It's all working. ID, first name, last name, hours worked, hourly rate. So if I go back to me and I want to change me from Jeffrey back to Jeff, and I click update, boom, it makes the change. If I want to add a new record, and I click add record, there it is. All right, I can remove that record if I don't want it anymore. And boom, it's gone. And I can do the same thing with the other ones as well. Here's our piece worker people. I'm not going to run through the same thing because it's just basically going to be the same kind of stuff. Here is the commission worker. And finally, here is the salaried worker. All right, so I've got everything that I need in here. All right, and I showed in the last video what has to be done in order to make that work. All right, but what I've decided to do is to make a copy of this, work with the copy, and that's the one I'm going to put out there on the system. Why? Because this is just way too long of a routine. This routine in here, this is 723 lines long, amongst the largest routines I've ever written. All right, there's nothing wrong with it, so to speak, but I think there's a better way of doing this. So what I'm going to do quickly here is I'm going to go into my EFCore. In here, I'm going to go in and take the PayEFCore, copy the folder, paste the folder in. Take a second to do that, of course. We're going to make that PayEFCore03, like that. There it is. Oops, I forgot the 3. Let me put the 3 in there. Okay, so there it is, right there. I'm going to come into here. I'm going to change the name of our CS proj file. Put a 3 in there. All right, let's open that file. Okay. There shouldn't be, I don't believe, anything that's going to have to be closed or changed in here, except, shouldn't say that, this reference to Core 02 is going to have to now be Core 03. All right. I don't even know if I need that, but I'm going to leave it in there anyway. Everything else that's in here, I think, as far as I can tell, looks okay. All right. So let me get rid of that. And now let me come back in here. And I'm going to quickly, or fairly quickly, bring that in. So let me close this one that we've got up right now. All right, that's everything. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that this basically looks and is there. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to say, into my solution, I'm going to add an existing project, which is in here. No, it's not. Sorry. It's in my EFCore folder. And there should be in there EFCore03. And there's the proj file. So now it's in there. All right. So why am I doing this? I'm going to try to take some of the work that we've been putting into our routines and throw it back into our classes that become our project. So the first thing I want to do here is change this. This is going to now be payroll database 02 ASP02. Okay, so file, save all. It's the first thing we wanted to do. Nothing else in there should have to change. Let's go back into our data. I think our context file, that's probably going to change. I think we're going to cut this way down, or at least I hope we are. But I just want to show you that is the same. All right, I don't think we've got any reference to ASP in there. We don't. Okay. So that one's fine. We'll just close that up. We'll go to this one here. This is going to have to also be 02. Okay. File, save all. All right, so those are done. All right. We're going to still have one form and, etc. And I'm going to go through that in just a bit. But before we do, what I want to show you is something that I had been working on previously. Let's see, is it here? No. Hold on just a second, because I got to find a file. All right, that didn't take very long. Okay, now I could go and write these as programs, but I just want to show them to you because this is going to bring back something that we talked about a while ago. I have been showing you in here. Again, if we look at any one of our files in our models folder, so if I go to the commission, let's say, notice this means we're inheriting from DB Abstract. We're doing it in commission, we're doing it in hourly, we're doing it in piece worker, and we're doing it in salary. I don't think I have to really go over that. We talked about the fact that when you have inheritance in an object-oriented programming language, what you do is you're bringing in everything that's in there and you're making it available. All right, so basically virtually everything that's an employee DB Abstract is now available in salaried employees. Also, DB Abstract itself, if we go back to that one, notice we made that class abstract, which means that class cannot be instantiated. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to mention is in here. And that is, this is the concept of polymorphism. All right, so I've got two little mini programs here, and they're basically the same program with just a couple changes. But I want to show you this. This is kind of similar to something I'd shown you earlier, where we come in and let's just do this. Let's just say we've created a class that's called animal. All right, and one of the things that we say that an animal can do, we'll put a method in there that's called speak. All right. And then we're going to come in and we're going to create a class dog. We're going to create a class cat. And we're going to create a class bird. All right. And each one of those is going to have its own speak method. All right. Why does this? Who cares? All right. Well, for the dog, it's going to say bark or woof or whatever. The cat will say meow. The bird will say tweet. All right. But all of these are going to inherit from our abstract class called animal. This is what I want to show you in here. All right. So don't worry about the virtual. We could leave that out. We'll get into that in a bit. But the point is this. If we do this and we make public class animal, and notice down here we're going to make it abstract. But if we make public class animal, all right, if we tried to create an animal, since it's not abstract, it would just say, if we called speak, it would say animal makes a sound. That's too generic. We don't even have any idea what kind of animal we're working with. But dog inherits from animal. So with dog, we have overridden the speak method so that it says woof. For cat, we have overridden the speak method so it says meow. For the bird, we have overridden the speak method so it says tweet. So who cares? Well, notice that if we don't make this, if we don't make this an abstract class, we can create an animal and make it of type dog. We can make an animal of type cat or an animal of type bird. We can do that. And some, in some programs that may make sense to do that. All right. But if we call speak, it'll still say woof or meow or tweet. What's done typically more often than this is this second example here. And again, don't worry about the word virtual right now. But we make it abstract. And we're still having dog inherit from animal, cat inherit from animal, and bird inherit from animal. But now notice what we're doing. Now we're saying dog D equals new dog. Cat C equals new cat. Bird B equals new bird. Do you care or do you have to care? And the answer is technically no, you really don't. But where this is going to become important, I'm going to show you right now. And that is in our new program here. There's nothing wrong with what we've written in here. It works. All right? But remember, other than just a first name and a last name and an employee type, all right? Remember also that every employee has a gross pay. So what I'm going to do for now at least is I'm going to take this line and I'm going to comment it out. Don't worry about it for now. All right, but I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say public decimal gross pay with a get set. I'm not going to give it an initial value or anything else. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do in here is remember that every type of employee has a gross pay. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to actually come in and I'm going to, this will be an abstract method that all derived classes, and that's these here, the commission, the hourly, the piece worker, and the salaried worker, must implement. All right, and I'm going to say here public abstract void, we'll call it calculate gross pay. Calculate gross pay. Like that. Now notice we don't have any errors, but we're going to get errors in our regular program because we commented that line out. All right, but this is the key new thing in here. I do want to mention it's totally legitimate for you to have non-abstract methods in an abstract class. It's not typically done, but you can do it. Also, it's possible for you to come in and in an abstract class like this to put in constants. All right? All right. So this is going to force, again, every employee type to implement its own pay logic, which is what we want. All right? So I'm going to come in here and do a file, save all. I'm going to leave that one up. And let's just go into each one of these. I like doing the hourly first. So we're going to do that. Notice now we got a problem here because we've got this hourly, or we got this type. All right. Well, we want to keep in here hours worked and hourly rate. All right. And this gross pay now, no, we're going, in fact, we're going to take all of this stuff that you see here. We're going to comment it out. All right, and we're going to replace it like this. Notice now we're getting an error, and it says, hey, you've got a method that's called calculate gross pay, and you're not implementing it. We're going to in just a minute. All right, so we've got hours worked, and we've got hourly rate, and that's fine. But now what we're going to do is we're going to create our gross pay right here. So public, it's a void, calculate gross pay, I think it was called. Calculate gross pay. Now watch, as soon as we do this, notice that error is going to go away. Well, I thought it would go away. All right. But it's okay. All right, so the reason we had this is we have to tell it we're going to override the one that's in there. Now we have no error. All right. Now we can come in here and we can write kind of what we'd written before. In other words, we can say const decimal max non-OT. We can set that equal to 40.00M. And we can say const decimal, we call that over rate for overtime rate, equals 1.5M. So that is going, basically that's the stuff we talked about before. Now it's green because we're not using it. All right. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say if hours worked is less than or equal to max non-OT. All right. Gross pay is equal to hours worked times hourly rate. Okay. So again, that is what? Well, I can put a comment in here that says straight time. In other words, no OT. Else, all right, we want to say gross pay is equal to, and it'll be, I'm going to borrow this, but we're not going to do it exactly like that, of course. So we're going to say here, it's equal to max non-OT times hourly rate plus hours worked minus max non-OT times hourly rate times over rate. All right, so we've got that done now. Now we're going to come in and make similar changes to our other files. All right, so that's what's in hourly employees right now. All right, so let's quickly, and that's where we'll stop it here. Let's just do the other ones because I don't think it'll take very long. All right. In fact, I think to try to make it a little easier, I might just copy this stuff. All right, let's go. We've done hourly now. Okay, so file, save all. And let's go into our piece worker. Maybe I won't do it like that. But I will take this just like before, and we will comment it out. And just like before, we're going to say public void calculate gross pay and it is simply gross pay is equal to, and what was that? That is the sales amount times the commission percentage. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking commission. It's this one. It is the pieces made times the price per piece. Okay, and that's it. Now we look at the other one we just did. Okay, we've got our calculate gross pay just like before. We don't need these. And we're already handling, in our regular program, we're handling the validations. All right, so the only validation we have to do in here is for hours. So in this one, we have nothing to validate. All right, again, we didn't use the word override, so we got an error there. There. So now that one's done. Next, we'll go to our commission employee. Just like before, we're going to comment this out. And just like before, we're going to say, now we'll do it the right way. We'll say public override, calculate gross pay. Notice as soon as we do that now, the errors are all gone. So again, in here, this will be gross pay is equal to commission percentage times sales amount. Now that one's done. All right. So we've now gone back and basically come in here and rewritten the way that we're doing this. All right. So we've got all of these done except for our salary. Okay, so let's do that one. So file, save all. Let's do that one, and then I think that's going to be it for this video for tonight. All right, so for salaried, again, come in here. Again, comment this out. Again, public override, calculate gross pay. Again, now just say salary equals, I'm sorry, it's backwards. Gross pay equals salary. That's it. So now what we've done is we have come in here and we have redone, so to speak, all right, what we need to do for all of our employees. Now, I'm not going to go back and rebuild this because I want to make some changes in here, but I think we've come far enough in this particular example, and I'm at 22 minutes. So in the next video, which I'm going to hopefully do tomorrow night, all right, in that next video, and it may not be till the weekend, sorry, we're going to come in and we're going to finish writing this. Okay, so I'll see you then.